Hi, Shabbat Shalom. There's an old story, and it's a joke, and I'm sure many of you have heard it before. And it's about the yeshiva bacher that meets a girl from Boca Raton in Yerushalayim as they study together in a yeshiva. She brings him home to meet her parents who live in a beautiful country club community here. The father or future father-in-law meets the guy and says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm studying, I'm learning in a yeshiva." And the father-in-law says, "What do you plan on doing?" He said, "I plan on continuing." And the father-in-law then says, "What about when my daughter has a child?" And the yeshiva bacher says, "Well, I'll continue to learn at the yeshiva." The father-in-law then retorts, "Then how are you going to make a living? How are you going to support my daughter and my future grandchild?" And the yeshiva bacher says, "Don't worry, God will provide." And that's the end of the conversation. A little bit later, the future father-in-law sees his wife, and the wife says, "So, what do you think?" And the father-in-law says, "I think he's a great guy." And the mother says, "Well, why do you think that?" And he said, "Because he thinks that I'm God." So we understand the joke, and it's kind of funny, but it's also serious in another way, and it's something to think about. And it's something that I think about as a rabbi, as a religious leader, and certainly in a denomination and a movement such as our own. And it has to do with the reliance on God and the centrality of God in the religious world that we live in. And as you know, we live in a religious world with a lot of very diverse approaches to being religious. For our sake and for my sake, I do believe that religion is about connection. And it's not just about a connection with the Holy One. It's not just about spiritual connection. It's about the connections between people. And in that way, it's about how we create a community of care, how people care for each other. It's about our connections with other people, with the rest of humanity. And it's about what we do in those connections. That is the essence of religion. And I know that each one of us finds our own path to holiness, if we so desire. Each one of us has our own definition of God, if we so desire. But I think most importantly, as a religious institution, B'nai Torah has to create the connections where people feel supported, the connections where the institution does that which matters in the world, really gets involved in something more. We learn here and we celebrate here, we mourn together here, we live a life together. That's very, very important. This week we're reading Parshat Shmini, and Shmini means 8. It's about the 8th day of the consecration of the tabernacle in the wilderness of long ago. 8 has an interesting association in our tradition because 8 is the day where God withdraws from creation metaphorically. 8 is the day of the Brit, where we actually do something significant to a human body. We as people do that. And so I think that what we learn to understand about all of this is that we have agency, that we are partners in the work of this world, and it's so important that we use that partnership with the utmost in terms of creativity and the utmost in terms of responsibility. Shabbat Shalom, and I look forward to seeing you, more and more of you, in the future. God bless you all, and bless each other.